Hello and welcome. This is We Talk Football. Now today I wanted to continue talking about the series that I've been talking about that I've been posting videos of the 10 greatest club teams of all time, and I started last 4 weeks ago. I started 4 weeks ago with the 2019-2020 Bayern Munich team. And then after that, I was talking about the Manchester United team of 98-99, the iconic Manchester United team. The following week was the 2007-2008 Manchester United with Cristiano Ronaldo scoring 42 goals on his way to a Ballon d'Or. And then last week I spoke about the 2023 Manchester City, who won the treble as well, the second team to win treble in England. And so today I want to focus on a team I feel like people should talk more about this team because of how great they were. And that's what I want to talk about today. But before I get into that, please make sure to like, subscribe, share, comment down below. What are your thoughts on our videos? What do you think of this particular video? And yeah, follow us everywhere, Instagram, Facebook, and let us know what you think. Now let's get into this video. And I wanted to talk about the 2016-2017 Real Madrid team. They were awesome. Now that team was so great. I like following them was awesome. I mean, remember, they went back to back, right? They had won the Champions League the previous season, and they won it again the following season. And they were on their way to winning a third consecutive Champions League the following season. But just this particular season from Real Madrid was so good. Firstly, the trophies that they won. They won La Liga. They accumulated 93 points. The funny thing is about that season is they finished number one. They won La Liga, but they scored less goals and conceded more goals than Barcelona, which is very interesting. I mean, like, if you bet your money on winning the league, you'd probably want to say, I'm gonna bet on the team that's gonna score the most goals and concede the least amount of goals, right? And so, like, with that in mind, you probably would have thought Barcelona would win. And adding to that is Barcelona went to the Bernabeu and they won a crucial game. Remember the iconic 3-2 game where Messi held up his shirt? That celebration. I mean, like, if you win against your rivals near the end of the season, you score more goals, you concede less, you probably be thinking, how did we not win the league? That happened. And then, anyway, like, they won the Champions League as well. That's the other weird thing about that. They finished second in their Champions League group to Borussia Dortmund, right? But because of how they turned it on in the knockout stages, like, Real Madrid are just monsters for that competition, right? And during that time, they were just purring. They were just roaring and purring to go, bro. Like, if you were a team going against Real Madrid, you knew it was going to be tough. You just knew that you were going to get, a hard time getting past that team. And so, like, those two trophies, like, if you win the league and the Champions League in any kind of season or year, that is just awesome. So they won those competitions. Let's look at the players and the managers. Like, of course, like, if you're talking about that time and Real Madrid, you're obviously going to start with Cristiano Ronaldo. Cristiano Ronaldo is probably their greatest player of all time. Is probably Real Madrid's, greatest. I mean, like, Real Madrid have had awesome players. They've had Zidane. They've had Puskás play for them. I think he's the greatest Real Madrid player of all time. Raúl, all them. And so, Like if you start with that, like you know your team is gonna be is gonna probably have a really good chance of doing great things. And then you mix that with how they had probably maybe the second greatest midfield trio of all time. Like if it wasn't for Busquets, Iniesta, and Xavi, we'd be talking about Casemiro, Cruz, and Modric as the greatest midfield trio of all time. You know what I mean? Like the things that they did, the control that they had, and like so now you have Ronaldo, you have that midfield trio, and then you also add in Bale with his pace and power. You also add in Karim Benzema. He was quite selfless during that run. He did a lot for Real Madrid, and I don't know if Real Madrid win without him. And then you had players like Marcelo in the team. You had Sergio Ramos with their leadership, And for a time, I used to really, really be a big fan of Rafael Varane because he had the pace, he had the power, he was so big and tall. At some point, I felt like he was the best centre-back in the world because of how he used to play. And the thing, I feel like he was better than Sergio Ramos, in my opinion. He was a better centre-back, he was a better defender than Sergio Ramos. As iconic as Sergio Ramos is, I don't think he's that great. I think Sergio Ramos, right? I still think people look at Sergio Ramos and the goals that he scored in crucial moments. I'll give you that. He's one of the most clutch players of all time. Not just defenders, but just a clutch player who comes up big in big moments. Yeah. But at defending, I can name you so many defenders that are better than Sergio Ramos. But anyway, that's the kind of thing that they had. They had great players around the team. And they had great players coming off the bench as well. Like you had Isco coming off the bench. You had Asensio coming off the bench. And all these people. You had Pepe covering for the centre-backs. Either coming in for Sergio Ramos or maybe Rafael Varane sometimes. And so it was an all-round great team. And then you had Zinedine Zidane coming in. Now, look, you have, people have reasonable questions about Zinedine Zidane because he won those 3 Champions Leagues at Real Madrid, and then he hasn't managed another team. And all the things that he's won, right, were with Real Madrid. I mean, of course he came back and he won La Liga with Real Madrid, but he hasn't taken on another team, the next level, and he's been linked so many times to teams like Manchester United, PSG, but he hasn't tried to challenge himself in that manner. Maybe he's retired as a manager. Maybe he doesn't want to manage anymore. And so, you still have lots of questions. Is he one of the greatest managers of all time? If you win 3 Champions Leagues in a row, it would be easy to say that. But also, your reluctance, your track record of this. He's had such a long sabbatical, bro. He's had a long break, and I don't know if he's gonna come back and manage again. But having him there is he is great for that. For exactly what Real Madrid needed, Zinedine Zidane was perfect for that. And so you had all that going. Of course, you're going to be one of the greatest teams of all time. Now, the style of play that they had, high pressing. They would press you really high and they'd put you under immense pressure. And once they got the ball, they'd move it really quickly because they had great passes in Modric and Toni Kroos. And also from a deep lying position, Casemiro, he destroyed, right? That's his job, to destroy the opposition's offense. But also on the ball, man, he's one of the most technically gifted deep lying midfielders that we've seen. Right, he could pass it short, he could dictate the tempo, he could play it long, and technically gifted as well. So you had that, and like if you press a team really high and you had that kind of midfield where they can pick a pass and they can find your offensive players, most cases, that's great. Now you mix all that with like the lethal explosion that you get from Gareth Bale and Cristiano Ronaldo. They were lightning, bro. They were lightning. Like not just in terms of pace, but the kind of goals that they scored. They would punch you in the mouth. They would seriously just give you no chance to do anything, to breathe. And so like if you had a team like that, like you fancy your chances of winning big things. You had Karim Benzema up front, scoring goals, creating goals. He sacrificed a lot for his game, from his game, and so like the style of play was really also quite entertaining because they got the ball quick, they moved it on, and they had, as I said, like Ronaldo, Bale, doing magic, scoring goals, putting teams under pressure. So that was pretty awesome from them. Like, and then you have the big games. The obvious place to start is the UCL Champions League final, right? Where they beat Juventus 4-1. And as I said, like that's one of the most dominant performances I've ever seen from a team in a Champions League final. Because you go into a game against a staunch defense like the Juve defense. You had Chiellini dogs, bro. Like absolute mad dogs. Chiellini, Bonucci, as I told you. Liechtenstein was still quite good at that time. Gigi Buffon, you had Alex at left back, and then like you had a great midfield as well. And so like to beat them 4-1 in the Champions League final, that's insane. And that was just really good. That was just Real Madrid at their absolute best. And that for me makes them the greatest not Real Madrid team of all time. I know in the 50s Real Madrid won all those Champions League titles, and they had great teams, and they still won the Champions League even after that. They've recently won two doubles. They won the double last year in 2024. They won the double in 2022. But this Real Madrid team, the 2016-17, was just a different class. They were great. They were also really good to watch. And so, like, that makes them, for me, one of the greatest teams that I've ever seen in my life. But another big game that's quite weird for them is like when they lost to Barcelona 3-2 and Messi with that iconic holding up his jersey celebration. That was awesome, bro. Like, I know as a Real Madrid fan, you probably feel like, it's not a compliment. And I know it's not, but I feel like it was great to just mention because it was a good game for like a football neutral like me. I'm not a Barca fan. Although I have to say I do have a more liking to Barcelona than Real Madrid for sure. But like that game was great. Now, the degree of difficulty for Real Madrid, as I mentioned earlier, right? They were facing a great Barcelona team with Suarez and Messi in their prime. And they pushed Real Madrid to the brinks because they got 90 points. Like, to get 90 points in a season, bro, like, you fancy your chances of winning the league, right? And if I told you that you get 90 points, scoring the most goals in the league campaign, conceding the least amount of goals, you'll probably feel like we should win the league. You know what I mean? So, like, they didn't, and that was tough. Like, for Real Madrid to win that was tough. And also on the back of losing 3-2 to Barcelona at the Bernabeu, right? That makes your way to the title even that much harder. But they pulled it off because they were just that good. In the Champions League, right? As I mentioned to you earlier, they had a tough group because they had Borussia Dortmund and Sporting Legia Warsaw, right? Not a very difficult Champions League group, but they finished second in their group behind Borussia Dortmund. Now, what makes their run so great is that after the Champions League group stages and the knockouts, they won all their games. Like in the Champions League knockout phase, you play the last 16, that's 2 quarters, 2 semis, 1 final. So that's 7 games. They won 7 games out of 7 games in the knockout stages. Went away to Napoli at home, beat them home and away. Bayern Munich, you like this, gave them all they could. Atletico Madrid, you like this, wow, out of here, bro. Juve, as I told you, wow, one of the most dominant performances in the Champions League final. Out of here, bro. And so, like, if you look at that, like, their degree of difficulty was big. And so, like, yeah, like for Real Madrid, that was pretty awesome. That was pretty awesome from them. So, so for me, the 2016-2017 Real Madrid make it as the 6th greatest club team of all time. Make sure you like and subscribe to the channel. Comment your thoughts. What do you think about the 2016-2017 Real Madrid making it this far? Do you think I got it correct? Should they be higher? Should they be lower? Let me know your thoughts and comments. Make sure to subscribe to the channel. It helps us out a lot. We need to get to 50 subscribers to start making live videos on YouTube. That would help us out a lot. Give us a different dimension and different whole feel, a different energy to the videos that we do. And also, go on to Instagram at WeTalkFootball24. Follow us, like our videos. Check us out on Facebook as well at WeTalkFootball. For now, please have a nice weekend. I'll see you again soon. Cheers. Awareness.